And here we go, reacting to day 2 of the NFL draft for the Browns. Let's just start at the top. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. We've all got to learn to say it. We've all got to learn how to spell it, because this guy is going to be a very important piece of this defense, I think. Let's just start with kind of how this all fell for the Browns and the fact that they kind of read this room a little bit, decided to trade up. Andrew Berry even joked, like, is this a fever dream? The Browns traded up and picked a linebacker. Paul DePodesta admitted this was the guy they were considering at number 26. Mary Kay, in honor of our victory lap tradition, you did write a post today that this is exactly what the Browns should do. So I know you're not surprised by this, but were you at least a little surprised that they actually did it?
No, I really wasn't. I wasn't. I mean, when I saw that he was still there today, it was such a no-brainer. I think I texted you guys really early this morning. I didn't get around to writing the story until later because none of us slept very much last night. But no, the minute I saw that he was still on the board and that Elijah Moore was still on the board, I figured that they would probably try to trade up to get one of those guys. Now, Elijah Moore went off the board, I think, with the second pick in the second round. It was very, very early on. So that flew right out the window. But as the picks started to go down, I'm thinking, oh boy, they are actually going to pull this off. And, in talking to people pre-draft, you kind of get a feel for who they have interest in, who they don't. It was pretty evident that they liked this guy. And they would have taken him, and they admitted that tonight. They would have taken him at 26. He was on their radar at 26. And so to be able to get him at 52, these guys are over the moon about this. He is like the perfect Joe Woods defense kind of hybrid guy that you can do so many different things with him. It's going to be where is Waldo for so many different guys in this defense. I mean, think about this. They're going to be like, like a chess game. I mean, offenses are going to have a hard time IDing this defense.
The Browns, it's like they're taking the lead in the quest for positionless football with all these people who can do all these different things. This really didn't surprise me because of everything Andrew Berry's done really over the past 2 years now. He does so many things that make sense. And I know that, he made the joke about trading up, and I on Twitter, you saw people saying that this was kind of like a slap in the face of analytics, and, a team trades up and they take a linebacker on top of it. But I don't look at it that way because, number one, you're going to get pushback from people when you call him a linebacker. And number two, what they really did is they moved up and got a guy who, like Mary Kay said, is super versatile and first and foremost can cover in the middle of the field. And that just opens up so many things for this defense, and it solves a lot of problems that they had last season. So it isn't like they traded up and they picked a guy who is just a great tackler and run defender. He's good across the board. And the Browns did not have a linebacker like that last season. So now, like, if you have like a 35-year-old backup quarterback who's trying to pick up a third and whatever with his legs in the divisional round of the playoffs, you have a guy who can maybe deal with that. That's just a hypothetical. But, I think this pick gives you the chance to avoid situations like that.
And, give it time to gel together. This is going to take time to figure out what everyone's role is going to be and what roles they play well. But just as a collection of parts, and specifically with JOK, he is a guy that I'm not really sure what his position is, but I think that's the point. It doesn't necessarily matter. It's up to Joe Woods to figure out what situations he can best thrive in. We're going to talk a lot about his pass defense, as we should. I just watched, well, not just, it took some time, but I watched every rep of his Alabama Notre Dame game from this past year, and I was really impressed with his run defense. He has a quickness to his game, a fierceness to his ability to shed blocks that I don't want to say surprised me, but it just adds to this team's versatility, both as a unit that's going to be able to stop the run and combat the pass. I think of Jadeveon Clowney as, you want a guy who comes get sacks, but no, Jadeveon's really going to stop the run. And I think Browns fans are going to be impressed with how stout and how quickly JOK is going to get after the ball carrier, and of course move sideline to sideline. That has been the theme of this offseason when it comes to rebuilding the defense, being faster, being quicker, and that means getting sideline to sideline to compete with the athletes who get on the perimeter so well in this league.
When I look at the fact that he could have been their number 26 overall pick, that says immediate starter and on the field every down to me. I just think he's going to be, their linebacker.
Real quick, let's talk about Anthony Schwartz. And I guess quick is the word to use here because he is very fast. A 4.25 40, I think is what he ran at his pro day. Everybody was flying on their pro days this year, but his was the fastest, I believe, in college football. So I guess let's try and frame who this guy is, right? Because I think the initial thought is, oh, maybe this guy's next, right? We've talked so much about planning for the future and getting ready for Odell and Jarvis when they're going to have to move on. Is that how we should talk about him? Or should we look at him more as an extra piece, a guy that brings that element of speed that they're lacking? Probably isn't going to play a whole lot this year, just sort of in situations where they need that 4.25 speed out there and they want to cause some problems with it. But long term, is he always just going to be that guy, or could he end up being a 1 or a 2?
Well, let me just say that there is a very big factor that we cannot overlook here when it comes to Anthony Schwartz. And that is that he's going to have one of the best wide receiver coaches in the NFL in Chad O'Shea. Chad O'Shea took Donovan Peoples-Jones last year, and I don't think very many people had great expectations for Donovan last year. And he got out on that football field, and he looked like he had been around for a while, and that maybe he had even played a preseason game, which never happened. So Chad is just really good at his job, and I think he's an amazing coach that is going to be able to coach this guy up in a way that he's never been coached before. And so I don't think we know what he has yet or what he's going to be. But one thing that we all know that you can't coach is speed. So they've added a tremendous element of speed to this offense, and they're going to use it.